Hello. So, I was in the dollar store today picking up some garbage. Something caught my eye that merits further discussion. This is that. So I was strolling down the health and beauty aids first aid aisle, looking and picking, that kind of stuff. And what do I see out of the corner of my eye? Now, this item in any form is ridiculous bullshit. That aside, if one were looking to procure this type of item because of a combination of poor communication, lack of trust, bad decisions, etc., and yet you found it acceptable to get said item at a dollar store for $1, then I don't even know which priority is more screwed up. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Anyway, time to get the belt. No more keeping you in suspenders. Here it is. Yes. The Assured brand at-home marijuana drug test. Easy to use. One test. Results in 5 minutes. 98% accurate. My dear departed grandmother's wrinkled ass. It's 98% accurate. Let's see what else it says. What we get? Same thing on this side. On this side. This side. On the bottom here we get what's it? Distributed by Greenbrier International, 500 Volvo Parkway, Chesapeake, Virginia. Volvo Parkway. That's a surprise. Made in the USA. No. Yeah, right. Made in China, obviously. Good to see that there's an actual expiration date and lot number on there. You can see that, like a real thing would. There's the UPC and QR code. We get a nice shot of that, so you guys can scan that with your phones if you want, or better yet, if you want to get one, you can use the affiliate link down in the description. Fuck you. Affiliate link. Anyway. Directions on the back. Basically what it says is read carefully, have a timer on hand, do it room temperature, standard stuff. So like the steps, collect piss in a cup, immerse the test strip, into the piss cup for 10 to 15 seconds, lay it flat, read the results within 5 minutes. Over here it says essentially a negative result will be a rose-pink band in the control region and the test region. A positive result will be a rose-pink band in the control region only. So positive or negative will have one in the control region. A negative will have one in the test region as well. Now, if the rose-pink band shows up in only the test region, then it's an invalid test, whatever the fuck that means. So, what a big steamy pile of shit that is. I'm not going to use this on myself right now because, sadly, I know I would pass it. How pathetic is that? What I'll do is, as soon as I can, I'll get the relevant levels in my body up as high as I can, pun intended, and then do a part 2 of this video in which I give myself a test to see if it works accurately. The thing about this 98% accurate is the reason that sort of irks me so much, and one of the main reasons I got this is even places like Quest Diagnostics or Quest Laboratories, whatever it's called, that essentially make a large portion of their cash doing pre-employment drug screenings for big companies and stuff like that, don't have a 98% accuracy rate in regards to false positive results anyway. They may claim it, I'm not sure, but I would say low to mid-90s at best. And, having accuracy as far as not giving false positives is really the important one. Not that anecdotal evidence proves anything, but I've known several people over the years who were denied jobs or whatever as a result of having false positives on tests. But that being said, it's easy to cast stones, but it's important to remember that the people that work in these places are most definitely not being paid not being paid appropriately for handling the responsibility and the potential consequences that are inexorably linked to the type of chemical analysis that they're doing. As everyone knows, how employees are treated is the number one factor as to how much of a shit they're going to give about the job that they do and where they work. And don't get me wrong, that's as it should be. This isn't a case of bad attitude or any shit like that. With the exception of artists and musicians and other creatives, people go to work to make money. That's it. Or at least that's so much of it that that's all that really matters. I mean, you might get a little bit of satisfaction out of your job, whatever, but you wouldn't be doing it if you didn't have to make the money, in most people's cases. That's just the way it is, you know. So jobs that bust your ass for dog shit pay inevitably create employees that hate their job, their employer, the work they do, their workplace, and will do anything they can to make it easier for themselves. Would you do any different? Any answer but a no is a sign of a moron or a liar, as far as I'm concerned. Or someone who is painfully naive. I guess that's a third option. The idea of getting paid well because you care is backwards. You should care because you're paid well. That's the order in which it should work. And people seem to, it's especially in the sort of modern consumer service industry culture that we all sort of live in, where so many people are one paycheck away from, you know, one catastrophe away from being homeless or whatever. People sort of get in the mindset of, you know, well, I'm just happy to take what I can get kind of thing, which is bullshit, because that's inevitably that what you get and what you're happy to get because it's all you can get just gets pushed further and further down to the point where what is, quote, acceptable now would have been laughable a generation or two ago. Yeah. You know, we're hitting a point now, we have been, not recently, but I mean, it's been going on for a while, where that, you know, it used to be that every generation tended to do better than the generation before them, as far as education and life expectancy and expected rate of pay over the course of their career and such. All of that shit's taken a turn for the worse. In particular, life expectancy with the generation of, like, my kids, the so-called millennials, they're actually being predicted to live slightly less than the generation of their parents, which that's not exclusively about what I'm talking about, but point is, things should be getting better, like, continuously through history, and they're really not anymore. And that's, you know, it's a slow creep, but I mean, it's a shift in direction, and, you know, you don't need to be on a roller coaster to know when you stop going up and are now going down. You can be on a very gentle, you know, 3% grade in a car and still be very aware that you are no longer going up the hill, you are now going down the hill. And it's a fucking thing, and, you know, people seem to either not notice or not care or not know what to do or care enough to do anything about it, or I don't know what it is, but to me it seems like, you know, the primary problem, I guess, you know, because so many other things are linked to it. Anyway, I mean, you know, if you own a company and you want your employees to be genuinely concerned and involved with the health and prosperity of the company, what would you do? You'd treat them well, you'd pay them well, you'd create a workplace in which being so all in is so much the norm that any outlier or intentional negativity would have no effect. It's not a, you say it and it's not, it doesn't sound like, you know, rocket surgery, so to speak. It's a simple concept, and yet it's a rarity. It's not the norm. It's an exception to find. You know, people say, "Oh wow, you know, how about that grocery store where the employees went out on strike to save the company because they love their boss and their job so much?" That should be normal and expected, in not an exception. That shouldn't make news. That should be like how it is. The exception should be, you know, employer treats employees like dog shit. That should be the exception, and it should be something that, you know, the boss is dragged out in the street and beaten for, you know, not just, oh, that's business. Anything, you know, the bottom line is the most important thing. This kind of fucking attitude of sort of like capitalism gone wild. Yeah, make a buck, obviously, but, you know, just because you're the head of the company doesn't mean that you should make you know, like $100,000 for every dollar that the average employee makes. If you want to make $100 for every dollar that the employee makes, that's reasonable, or even more than that. But you know, orders of magnitude. That's that measurement of the difference in pay between like an average CEO and an average employee of the company over the last century. If you look it up, it's fucking bananas. You know, like even the so-called robber barons of, you know, the Carnegies and all these guys, that they weren't even making. I mean, once they had all their money, but you know, like when they're actually running their companies coming up, and they were considered like the biggest of the big, they weren't doing anywhere near the kind of difference in pay to what's going on now. It's insanity. But anyway, before I start rambling, hopefully I'll see you next time when I hope to be taking this test for myself. Quite bleary-eyed. Till then, thanks for tuning in. Remember, you were born with your mind. Keep it that way. Free your mind and your ass will follow. The kingdom of heaven is within.